What is going on, beautiful people? We are back. UFC's back finally. Holy shit! It felt like forever. Probably a month, right around a month. We had no UFC, and now we're back. And pretty good card to come back to. I think, pretty underrated card. So we're talking UFC Vegas 84, going down 4 p.m. The prelim start. So we're trying to get you ready, get you all the analysis, all the bets you need to place any last minute bets before you watch some fights this afternoon. So appreciate those of you that are watching already. My man TG's in the chat. Let's go. Trying to secure this bag today. Yes, sir. Capitail's in the chat too. My guy has become the last word before I place any UFC bets. Salute to you, my brother. I appreciate that. And yeah, keeping it transparent with you guys like I always do. UFC has not been great over the last, couple of events. We're looking to change that. This is episode 11 of subs and dubs, and we're right around even. We started off hot, going up about 10, 11 units, and since then it's hasn't been good over the last 3 or 4 events. So we're trying to change that. Some time off gives you some time to kind of make some adjustments to your process, tweak some things in hopes to turn that around, and new year, new UFC year, more opportunities. So TG, after this break, this car feels like a pay-per-view. Yeah, it feels like it's been decades, bro. Dallas ready to cash out today, gang. Yes, sir. Hopefully we do that. And yeah, I'm trying to keep, like I said, trying to make adjustments. I'm trying to keep it fairly light, trying to pick my spots extremely well, and be very selective. So I think you guys will see that with my betting card today. And yeah, like I said, pretty good card to come back to. Nothing too flashy. We got some big cards coming up these next couple of weeks, but like the chat saying, it feels like forever. So we'll take any type of fight. So I am excited as fuck to talk some fights with you guys, to hear you guys' thoughts on some of these fights. We're not gonna go through every fight. So if you guys have questions about fights that I don't talk about, feel free to ask, and we can definitely chop it up. Um, so yeah, before we start, I talk to you guys all the time about this. Lives like this, we try to give you guys as much content as we can, and lives like this would not be possible without some of our sponsors. One of them being Sleeper Picks. So shout out to Sleeper Picks, one of the best DFS platforms in the world. NFL, MLB, NBA, they got you covered. Especially if you're in a non-legal state, super, super convenient, great odds. Now's the perfect time to do so. If you like free money, sign up, and you get a deposit match up to $500, which is crazy. So you deposit 100, you get 100. Deposit 500, get 500. So um, sign up, download the app, sign up, use code GoldBoys, get some free money. So without further ado, let's get it going. TG said I lost 800 last UFC card, worst card of the year. I'm looking to start strong now. Yeah. And last card was tricky too. The last couple of cards of the year were tricky. A lot of volatility. We had, a lot of slam KOs, a lot of bullshit decisions, in my opinion. So that leads to, a lot of volatility. Billy's in the chat. Let's go finesse. Let's have a great 2024. Yes, sir. It starts right now. Starts right now. We got a bunch of events 2024. I'm trying to win 100 units. And why not? 100 units in UFC. Why not? Sounds like a plan to me. So let's get it going. So first fight of the night, pretty damn exciting one. We got Joshua Van fighting Felipe Bunes. Joshua Van sitting around that 255, 260 range as the favorite. With Bunes coming back anywhere around plus 225, plus 230 range. So yeah, this is a very interesting fight. Yeah, I can't believe this fight is open in the prelims. Holy shit! Because it's a great fight. Um, I like Van in this spot, so I got Joshua Van at minus 225. Again, like I always tell you guys, I'm not in the business of giving out stale lines. I'll let you know, what I put it in at, what Go Boys Discord got it at. Now hovering around that minus 250, minus 255 range. That's a much different bet to me. I think even at minus 225, people don't really like drinking that juice. But at 250, minus 250, minus 260, even more so, right? So feel free to, parlay this, or, however you decide to play it. But I'm telling you guys how I played it. And even at minus 225, I still think there was value on the Joshua Van side. So I played it. So starting with the Van side, some of the more simpler stuff. Joshua Van, incredible young talent, only 22 years old, amazing cardio. The kid just does not slow down at all. Great chin, great durability. He did get sat down by Borjas in his last fight, but jumped right back up, got right back into the fight. Um, Josh just seems like a dog, gritty. My type of fighters I love to back. In a relatively close fight versus Zumagulov in his UFC debut, um, kind of outclassed him, but with 2 or 3 rounds, with rounds 2 and 3 being, mostly definitive, which I love. He loses the first round of Borjas, comes out super aggressive in round two, and just kind of outlasts Borjas and dominates round two and dominates a winner take all round three. So I love that shit. You drop the first round, you come out and leave no doubt, in rounds two and rounds three. I personally love that shit. Offensively with Josh, just an amazing dynamic striker, a great boxer, super clean, lightning fast. Loves that double jab to the right hand. Nasty, nasty, nasty jab. Versatile striker. Loves going to the body. Obviously, his body work is devastating. Can obviously box your face off, but good kicks as well. Good calf kick. Good stepping kicks that he throws a bunch. Good head kicks. Rock Zumagulov with a head kick, actually. Extremely active and high volume the entire fight, which I love. He set the record for most significant strikes in a flyweight debut versus Zumagulov, which is impressive, and nearly set the flyweight body strike record in his last fight versus Borja. So, kid's 22 years old in the UFC, setting volume records. I think he's landed 120 plus punches in both UFC fights, that's all you can ask for. I absolutely love that stuff. Um, Defensively, good distance management, manages the range really, really well, cuts angles, good takedown defense from what we've seen so far. Opponents are just 1-8 on their takedowns in 2 UFC fights. Really good process too when defensively wrestling and grappling. Always fishing for underhooks, great hips when he's grappling, which is important. Just seems super aware when defending, both on the feet and on the mat. Just seems like he has high fight IQ. I really think Joshua Van is special. At 22 years old, he's only going to continue to keep getting better. Obviously, he's only about 2 months in between fights, so you don't expect a huge leap. After his last fight, only 2 months ago, but still 22 years old. I truly think this kid is special. From what I see in the octagon, like I said, third UFC fight, and it hasn't been an easy road for him. Two tough fights. Having Zalgis as a debut is a tough fight. That's not a walkthrough fight. If you're not ready for the UFC, Zalgis will school you. That's simple. And then Borjas, I like Borjas a lot. I think Borjas is another amazing young prospect in the division. I think he's super talented. And can really give you problems. I think Borjas is better than anyone Bunes has faced. You can argue, Jussier Formiga, but Jussier Formiga, Bunes got choked unconscious by a 37-year-old Formiga in that fight, which coincidentally was the last time Bunes debuted in a much larger promotion that he's used to, which is happening today. It's just a step down in competition for Joshua Van. It's a step up for Bunes. I think Van has several paths. I think if this fight goes to decision, I think the pace and volume can carry him to fairly easy unanimous decision. I also think Van's pace and dangerousness on the feet gives him more finishing upside than Bunes, especially as the fight goes longer. Bunes is a type of guy, very versatile striker, very dangerous on the feet. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to just have this, one side wash. It is not. He's very dangerous on the feet. Flashy strikes. A lot of spinning stuff. Um, can definitely catch you with something because of the versatility of his strikes. Pretty dangerous off his back too. So Van has to be careful there. But I just think the pace is going to be too much. Van has almost every box checked for me. If Bunes wants to try to offensively wrestle, um, you know, I trust Van's takedown defense. Even if Van does find himself on his back, I trust the dog and I trust the every single time I've seen Joshua Van's shoulders hit the mat, he is desperate to get back up. So I trust that element of his game. I think the pace and pressure is going to be way too much for Bunes, who's making his debut at 33 years old. So, um, I try to think about why these fights are put together, and I think this is a a reasonable fight for Van to be taking. Another dangerous guy. Opening up the prelims. I don't think it's necessarily a step up in competition, but I think it's a good building block for him to continue his impressive UFC career. So doesn't have a UFC finish yet. That might be the night. That might be the night. I personally didn't play any finished props because I think Van can just as easily win a decision, pretty dominant decision. So yeah, that's how I feel. Starting the year off little juicy, but I absolutely love this. I was thinking about adding, if the line would have stayed at minus 225, minus 230, I would have probably added another unit on it, to be honest. Um, TG, I like Van's volume. 2-3 KO is a good props too. Yeah, that pace kind of wearing him down. Yeah, cannot Tokyo for that. I like it too. I like putting my money on fighters that don't quit on themselves. Absolutely, true dog. Took that on short notice against August. Yep. Which UFC fighter do you think has the best chance? That you have the best chance of beating? None, my brother. None. Absolutely none. You know who I want to fight? I want to fight. What's his name? Fuck. He just got a fight to Cody Brundage. I want to fight that guy. I want to fight Cody Brundage. Okay. But that's the problem. He's gonna beat my ass. And different type of story. Zaga's beat Tagir Ulanbekov, who's a ranked flyweight. Yep, definitely a tough fight for his debut. So yeah, starting off a little chalky. But I really love the spot for Van. So I hammered the fuck out of it. Um, if we see some late line movement back towards Bunez for some reason, I'm definitely gonna add on there. So take that for what you will. But that's the first fight. Let's move on. Because this fight, holy shit. Wait till you guys hear what I have in this fight. Next fight I want to talk about is the Weston Wilson fight, and he's fighting Jean Silva. Right now, these lines are crazy. John Silva sitting around minus 825, minus 850. Best comeback on Weston Wilson is right around plus 650, plus 660. So yeah, I have some pretty hilarious bets in this fight. I love them. Don't get me wrong, but definitely stressful. So I put 1.1 units on this fight over a half a round at minus 220, and then I put zero point 0.3 units on the fight to start round two at plus 198 on DraftKings. So obviously, every second that this fight goes on, it is going to be sweaty. My ass is going to be puckered up the whole time, sweating these bets. But I think there's more than enough due reason to like these bets. Weston Wilson is not good. He is I don't rate him, necessarily that high at all. He comes out of that kind of karate stance, that Walmart Stephen Thompson kind of thing. Hands low, trying to keep distance, trying to straight punch, trying to throw kicks, head kicks and stuff like that. But um, the man striking defense leaves a lot to be desired, and that's the main thing with Weston Wilson. Um, is the striking defense. I don't necessarily think his chin is just terrible. I just think his striking defense is terrible, which leaves a shit ton of openings. And even at a smaller weight like featherweight, guys are gonna take advantage of that. And if your chin is just there to be had, his fucking face is a punching magnet. Last fight we saw him get rocked by Joannis Brito. Did a pretty good job, kind of, responding to that. Kind of grappled, roll for a knee bar that was pretty deep, pretty nasty. If Brito had, you know, if Brito had kind of panicked in any way, um, Weston Wilson might have been able to finish that knee bar. We talking about a whole different thing. It's a whole different story. But again, Weston Wilson made some mistakes, leaves his head wide open while fishing for the knee bar, and Brito puts him out, in pretty devastating fashion. So, we've seen that, pretty nasty KO by Ishihara, back in 2022 as well. Bunch of subs on his record. Obviously that's what he wants to do. He wants to grapple. He wants to try to clinch up, grapple, take you down if he can, attack submissions and get you out of there that way. Um, But on the other side, John Silva, making his UFC debut, contender series was contender series performance was pretty good against Kevin Vallejos, but I didn't come away from that fight thinking, holy shit, rounds 2 and rounds 3 kind of Vallejos, but Vallejos I think has a fight coming up too in the UFC, so shout out to him. But I saw what I saw on the rest of his tape. A guy that has power in his hands. Devastating fight changer power in his hands. Pretty technical on the feet. Wants to strike with you. But what has this guy done to be minus 1,000? Making his UFC debut, 13 pro fights. 11 wins. All by finish, which is great. But what has this guy done to be minus 1,000 versus anybody? I know Weston Wilson sucks, but you know, completely undeserving. I think the books are trying to limit exposure on Gene Silva and making him such a big price that you don't want to play him. And they did pretty well on that. So what have you done to be minus 1,000? And what have you done for us to just assume that you're going to come out and starch Weston Wilson the first 2.5 minutes? Maybe it happens, maybe it does. But another aspect that I really like is Gene Silva's kind of a arrogant kind of striker. He's kind of arrogant in there. And when you're sweating over half a round, every second matters. Every single second matters. So, if he sees this guy Weston Wilson in front of him, a little karate style, he might try to fuck around in there. He might try to talk some shit, fuck around, and with those seconds ticking off the clock, we'll take that. Weston Wilson, I've seen him hurt. Obviously, his last fight, I've seen him hurt a couple of times on the regionals as well, and he does a really good job at clinching up when he's hurt. And again, when you're sweating every single second, that's what we want. So I stagger my bets in a way where if this fight goes over half a round, we make profit already. If the fight sees round 2, then obviously we make more profit. But all we need is 2.5 minutes. So, I think the mix of this is also Gene Silva's debut. Who knows what the fuck to expect from this guy? He may try to come out real hot and real heavy, and may put himself in some positions um, to be clinched up by Weston Wilson. If he's charging in with reckless abandon, Weston Wilson can clinch you up, maybe cage push you, and again, tick 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 tick. The seconds are clicking off the clock. So if Weston Wilson finds himself in a position that he can be cage pushing, maybe get him down, because Gene Silva's over pursuing and being too aggressive on the feet, then we'll take that. Every single second counts. So yes, it's gonna be scary. Every single time Gene Silva throws, I'm gonna be nervous. The man has bricks in his hands. But again, a little bit of a wild striker too. Uh, when he throws, he can be technical for sure. And he is dangerous. He is a dangerous guy. But I think there's just too many outs to cover at least over half a round. These lines are ridiculous. The money line, the unders, they are ridiculously juiced, way too juiced in my opinion. So I'm gonna take the shot. Hopefully we can get past 2.5 minutes. Weston Wilson is pretty experienced guy. 24 pro fights. So hopefully some of that kicks in, right? Guy might be fighting for his job. So coming off a KO loss too, um, yeah, he can be an awkward guy to fight too. He's gonna be much taller than as you can see in the picture right there. He's gonna be much taller than Gene Silva, kind of awkward style, right? We talked about that karate style, awkward style. May take Gene Silva a minute to again UFC debut. It may take Gene Silva a little minute to fully lock in and get his read. So again, those seconds ticking off the clock, we'll take all of that. Damn, those lines are really good. I really like the over half a round play. I appreciate you. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. It is minus 220 is juice, but that shit should be minus 400. What are we talking about here? It's not, it ain't Francis Ngannou versus Weston Wilson. He was very deep on Brito. I had money on Brito. I was genuinely concerned. Yeah, that knee bar was deep as hell. But Burrito's a savage. Was comfortable the whole time, did not panic at all, reversed it and dribbled his head off the canvas. So Wilson isn't good, but minus 1,000 on Gene is crazy. Yeah, it is for sure. But yeah, some butt clenching bets there, but it's 2.5 minutes. That's all we need. 2.5 minutes. Um, but yeah, shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys watching. Those of you that are in here already, appreciate you guys. If at any point my dogs go crazy, I'm just kind of making you guys aware. But yeah, let's move on. Before we do, like the video. If you guys are watching, like the video, really helps us out a lot. Gets us out to more people. Gives us hopefully a chance to get in front of new eyes. And that's what we want. So if you guys are enjoying the content, we're on episode 11 and we got no plans of slowing down. So hit that like button for me. Really quick thing you can do um to help us out a lot. So I'd very much appreciate that. But let's move on. So next fight I want to talk about is the Farid Basharat is fighting Taylor Lapilus. Farid Basharat sitting around minus 270, minus 275. The comeback on Taylor Lapilus is around plus 220, plus 225. So I like Farid Basharat in this spot. I haven't parlayed. We'll talk about who I haven't parlayed with a little bit later. But yeah, I like Farid in this spot. So let me go over why. Yes, so actually want to start with Taylor Lapilus. So Lapilus is a skilled fighter. Still pretty young, experienced. And I think he has assets that you want in a fighter, that is gonna pick up wins in the UFC. We saw that last time out. Lapilus fought a tough kid in Loughran on short notice and kind of greed up and won that one pretty close fight. Um, some of his biggest assets, Taylor Lapilus, in my mind, is kind of slick striking. I think he uses great hand speed and mixes that with great accuracy, precision and accuracy on the feet to make his strikes very dangerous. Good counterpuncher, good cardio, right? Durable, never been finished, never really seen him extremely hurt, from the tape that I watched. So excuse me. The kid seems to be extremely durable, which you love. Um, but I can poke a lot of holes in his game. I think there are a lot of negatives. I don't think the striking is anything super developed. His combos when he's throwing extended combos, those look a lot worse than when he's throwing simple punches. 1-2s, stuff like that. The volume isn't the highest as well, and I think he's going to struggle with that versus a guy like Farid. Doesn't throw a ton of kicks, which again I think is going to be not great in this matchup against Farid. His striking process is just a bit simple, in my opinion. He wants to be a sniper. He wants to kind of stay back, be a sniper, counterpunch you with extremely good accuracy and precision. Not really a power puncher. Like I said, more of a sniper instead of a power puncher. Decent takedown defense, but hasn't faced quite the skill level of Basharat, in my opinion. And he really hasn't seen that elite mix of striking and wrestling, which is what Farid does. Farid is elite at mixing his striking with his wrestling and using his striking to open up the offensive wrestling. I don't think Lapis has seen that level at all. And even still, him not seeing that level, like I mentioned in his debut versus Loughran, who pretty much only wants to wrestle. Loughran wants to wrestle. It is pretty simple. He'll spend most of that 15 minutes trying to relentlessly wrestle. Um, you know, Loughran was able to control a chunk of that fight, pursuing takedowns. He got a bunch of cage control, was dominant in the positions on the ground. He took Lapis back in the first round, got him down a couple of times, controlled him for minutes of rounds. As the fight got extended, it became much harder for Loughran to secure takedowns, but still was a lot of cage pushing, a lot of control time against the cage. And that's the type of shit that can sway rounds, and sway fights. And that wound up being a split decision. So, one judge did see it. I'm sorry, my camera's all fucked. One judge did see it for Loughran in that fight. So, let me try to refresh this. Boom. Um, so yeah, that's against Loughran, who is a very one-dimensional kind of guy. And now you're fighting Farid. Farid, I think, is another guy. We talk about Van. Excuse me. I think Farid is special. I really do. He's an amazing striker, a very crisp, clean, lightning fast boxer. When he's offensively boxing, but the game plan is, like I said, he wants to use his striking to get in and take you down and dominate you. His offensive wrestling, grappling is levels, I think, in my opinion, above Lapilus. He's shown that time and time again. He has had a much different path than a guy like Lapalus, right? Lapalus made his debut against Loughran, who's a tough kid, but I don't expect him to be, climbing the ranks, in the bantamweight division at all. Meanwhile, on the other side, Basharat, makes his UFC debut versus Damon fucking Blackshear, who is a beast, who is a monster. That fight was amazing. Some of the scrambles in that fight, and some of the moments in that fight were absolutely amazing. And Fareed beats him unanimously. And then against Clayton Rodriguez, Clayton was once, one of the most hyped prospects in the bantamweight division, super dangerous on the feet. He's kind of gotten exposed since, including against Fareed, kind of a fish off his back. Cardio is kind of an issue with Clayton. Fareed absolutely ran through Clayton, so took a lot of that fucking hype and shut that shit down. Just very, very impressive. I'm very impressed with Fareed. Like I said, I think he's special. The mix of the striking, along with the dominant offensive wrestling, his control when he's on top, his control against the cage too. And I think it's just a different stylistic matchup for Lapalus, as opposed to a guy like Loughran. Loughran is a very one-dimensional, simple. I don't want to be disrespectful, but a simple wrestler. He wants to shoot doubles, shoot singles, run the pipe, get you down, kind of that American wrestling kind of style. Penny, go out, out. Um, Fareed does a much, much better job of mixing up his striking to use his takedowns. Loughran was not doing that really at all. Also, Fareed is really good with the trips. His tripping game is really, really good. So those outside, inside trips, both in the open mat and when he has Lapalus up against the cage. Lapalus seemed like he struggled with that as well, kind of being held up against the cage, kind of stalling out with his back up against the cage, and that's not good against Fareed. So, um, I think, Fareed's uh distance management too, and his management of range is elite as well, even in a small octagon. I think Fareed can absolutely piece him up on the feet. And I'm hearing a lot of different takes this week about the striking and the levels and stuff like that. Um, I don't think Lapalus is a better striker than Fareed. I've seen that being said throughout the week, that they prefer Lapalus' striking. I disagree. I think Lapalus' striking is a lot more fundamental, a lot simpler than a guy like Fareed striking is. Fareed's going to have the size in this matchup too, which makes it even tougher on Lapalus. So yeah, and I think he's levels above on the ground. I really do. In terms of offense, like I said in the write up, Lapalus' takedown defense is decent, but this is a whole different style. Levels above, I think, in my mind. So it might be where Fareed takes him down, and that's a wrap for the round. To be honest, Fareed also has a much, much more active kicking game than Lapalus. I told you my dog's gonna go crazy. Yeah, also has a much, much more active kicking game than Lapalus, which I think is going to be incredibly important in this fight. If Fareed is constantly poking, right, constantly poking with the kicks, calf kicks, front kicks, oblique kicks, that's going to help slow down a guy like Lapalus as well. So it's going to make it harder for you to try to be a sniper, right? Somebody poking at you consistently, it makes it hard for you to be a clean kind of sniper. So, Fareed is also way more accurate. He's landing over 70% of his significant strikes. Lapalus is right around 50%. So I just think he has him covered everywhere, to be honest. I think he wins the moments. I think he wins the minutes. I think he gets the offensive wrestling going, and it's just a levels fight for me. So, again, that minus 250 range is kind of where I cut it off in terms of me wanting to play something straight. And so Fareed was kind of just over that limit. So I did parlay him. I think he's a very safe parlay piece, in my opinion. And I really like Fareed. So again, kind of chalky, drinking the juice, but I don't mind levels fight. Um, yeah. So let's move on. Spent a lot of time on that one. My pops in the chat. Shout out pops. Shout out all the pops in the world. Okay. So this next fight, I'll be transparent with you guys. I don't have any official action yet. But I really think I'm going to. So I'm gonna talk about it. Matthew Semmelsberger is fighting Preston Parsons. Right now, it's about to pick him. I'm seeing -110s on both sides across a lot of books. I'm heavily leaning towards Semmelsberg in this spot. I really like Matt Sematajeda. I really like him. He's a guy that has made money for me in the past. I like his fight style. He has glaring holes in his game, obviously, but I like his fight style. Semmelsberg's biggest hole, you guys, if you consume UFC content, you've probably heard this already, is probably the defensive wrestling. When guys want to take him down, they usually can take him down, and that's a problem in his matchup for sure. But Matt has serious power for the division. Every single fight, he's dropping guys. I think he has 11 knockdowns in 7 UFC fights. He knocks down everybody he fights. But one of the other biggest kind of negatives with a guy like Matt is the finishing instinct, bro. It's just, I don't know what it is. I think it's he knows how to finish people, right? Pause. People are talking about Matt this week as if he is, just like he's slow. People are talking about him like he, it just has no finishing instinct. I don't think that's true. I think part of it is a little bit of bad luck, right? Like in the what fight was that? In the Medic fight, right? In the Udos Medic fight. That's a fight where I liked Matt in that fight because it's a fight that's going to be probably standing up for a majority of the 15 minutes. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw a stand-up fight. Semmelsberg absolutely rocks him on multiple occasions. First time he rocks him, he kind of just ends up in like a weird kind of guard position. Um, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I want to maybe give him some excuse and say it's a little bit of bad luck. Guys just not going out, not going completely out, and keeping that little bit of consciousness that you need to continue. Uh, but no doubt about it. I mean, Semmelsberg is serious power for the division. Really good striker. I like the straight punches. His 1-2s are nasty. His kicking game is nasty. Really nasty calf kick, nasty head kick. Use that front kick to kind of maintain range as well. So yeah, I like Semmelsberger. I don't. I've heard a lot of people hate on his cardio this week too. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think he slows down. It's a fist fight. I definitely think he slows down, but I don't worry about him. Completely cardio dumping at all. He has a style, especially in this matchup, where I trust him more to kind of fight through the cardio, and I think his style when tired is way better than a style like Parsons when he's tired. Semmelsberger can fight through the cardio dump and still remains dangerous with his hands. Parsons, if he gets tired, we've seen it before, and I'll talk about that. It's going to make it a lot more difficult to consistently pursue takedowns like he wants to do. Just quick notes on Parsons. So I thought this was funny. He made a statement, said he made a mistake and traded too much versus D-Rod, right? He said he didn't get his wrestling going enough versus D-Rod. And I thought that was funny, right? Because you look back and watch that fight, first thing Parsons tried to do is shoot. That's the first thing he does when a bell rings. He actually shot twice in like the first 2 minutes of the fight before getting finished. He just had no success with the wrestling. It's not like he didn't try. He was making it seem like he didn't try. He just had no success with the wrestling and stood and traded with D-Rod and got starched. So I thought that was funny, a little funny statement from him. But yeah, Parsons is a guy that wants to wrestle. He wants to push a pace, wants to grind you out. He wants to put you on a mat and he wants to beat you up. It's pretty simple as that. He can definitely crack. He throws heavy hands, but not nearly as technical as Matt is on the feet. No real process to his striking, in my opinion. Kind of clunky. Doesn't look good when he's throwing longer combinations. He wants to take you down. Like I said, he doesn't want to strike for prolonged periods of time. But I can poke a lot of holes in that heavy offensive wrestling game plan of Parsons. I don't really like his control on top. I don't like his control against the cage, which I think is massive in his matchup, especially in a smaller cage. Opponents are pretty easily able to escape Parsons' cage clinching, get back to open space. I don't really like his offensive wrestling or grappling either. Not a ton of versatility in his wrestling. It's mostly double legs, cage pushing, like I said. Um, he's been reversed several times throughout his career. Um, especially his UFC career. We saw that in the Elder fight. Elder reversed him several times. Same thing in the Officer Giles fight. Both of those guys were able to reverse both while standing, up against the cage and from bottom positions. Parsons would find himself in dominant positions and get reversed pretty easily. So, a guy that wants to wrestle, he doesn't dazzle me with the wrestling at all. He's not, again, he doesn't make me go, holy fuck, this guy is a blanket. He doesn't, that's not his type of style, in my opinion. He's gonna shoot and he wants to take you down, but I don't think the first time he shoots on Matt, it's game over. You know, of course, Matt on his back is a worry for me, and that's what's made me so hesitant as to pull the trigger. But Parsons gets hit so much. Matt gets hit his fair share too, but Parsons gets hit so much. I mean, we saw it in the So I don't want to get my fights mixed up. Um, the Officer Giles fight. Officer Giles was fucking him up in the first round. Even in the second round, he was fucking him up. He was hitting him with some devastating shots. Trevin Giles could not miss with the jab, kind of tearing his face up. He had both eyes swollen a bunch. Could not miss with the jab. The jab opened up a lot of things for him too. Opened up the 1-2s, opened up the kicks. And he was piecing them up. You know, um, Parsons actually lost that fight by split decision. It was a close fight, for sure, a close fight. But you know, moving from Evan Elder, who took that fight on short notice and is a naturally smaller guy that was fighting up a weight because of the short notice. That fight looked a lot easier for Parsons, right? The cardio looked better because he's fighting a smaller guy, a guy that he's able to kind of have his way with. Then you move to Giles, who fought up weight classes before in his career, much bigger opponent, an opponent that gave Parsons a lot more trouble. We saw Parsons' cardio look bad in that fight. By the third round, Parsons was like, there was a point in the third round where he kind of just dropped to his knees and fell forward, into a double leg, just extremely sloppy shit. And was at the level of competition, fighting a bigger guy, giving you more problems, like I expect Matt to do. That's the type of shit I don't like to see. So um yeah, the cardio is a question mark for me. Matt, like I said, slows down, but Matt is gonna fight for your money for 15 minutes. Parsons, even by the second round in that Trevin Giles fight, his cardio looked to be a massive question mark in my opinion. He might prove me wrong, but especially if he's not having success early on with takedowns, you know, his cardio is a question mark for me in my humble opinion. And I wrote in my notes, I wrote damage over control too. We're seeing it more and more with these judges, valuing damage over control. If Semmelsberger drops his kid and hurts him several times, what are the judges gonna deem more valuable? Dropping him, almost finishing a fight, or Parsons cage pushing for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, maybe get him down, maybe doesn't. Not super aggressive when he's on top either. So I think there's a chance where it may look like Matt maybe loses a round, maybe rocks him early in the round, then gets himself taken down, gives up some top time. A judge may lean giving that round to Matt still, because of the damage. So I just see it in my head right now, and that's why I don't want to skip out on this fight because I'm gonna be tight if it does happen. I just see Matt, you know, Preston gets hit way too much, and the power that Matt holds, I see Matt catching him with some shit. I really do. When Parsons is on a feet, there's not much technique there. Parsons throwing looping shit, um, not with much behind it. Doesn't really throw in combos. The straight punches of Semmelsberg, I think, are his biggest asset, and what he does probably the best, in my opinion. The straight punches, the straight 1-2s, the jabs, and we saw Trevin Giles had a lot of success with that. So I think the straight punches are going to beat the looping punches. If Semmelsberger can just don't get taken down 8 times, don't give up 13 minutes of control time. I think he can do good against the cage. I like him a lot better up against the cage defending rather than off his back, or Sandwich jiu-jitsu is bad. I don't like it at all. I think I don't want to go as far as saying he's a fish off his back, but I mean, I've seen Semmelsberger spend minutes off his back looking, not really getting his legs involved, not really no process to getting up. And that's worrying in this matchup because that's what Parsons wants to do. But Parsons just kind of, it's a small cage. If he pushes him up against the fence, like I said, I don't like Parsons' control. Semmelsberger does a decently good job getting off the cage. So I'm trusting that he can do that. I think this fight, I like the unders in this fight as well. Fight not to go to distance, I think is a good parlay piece because both guys, it's pretty binary fight. Both guys have passed the finish. Semmelsberger's on the feet, catching them with hands. Stop. And Parsons is getting them down and trying to finish the fight that way. When Parsons gets down, he is a submission threat. Loves his power chokes. Triangle choke, shit like that. So Semmelsberger is getting just kind of mauled on the ground. It's past the finish for Parsons there too, but the line is actually moving my way too. Parsons getting a little bit more steam. Semmelsberger was minus 120 yesterday. Now he's minus 110. It's like the books are begging me to take my boy Matt, and I might get there. I think I'm gonna get there, to be honest. I really think Semmelsberger catches him with a lot of shit. I think he punches him in the face several times, and I think he gets him out of there. To be honest, I really, really do. One of these times, Semmelsberger is gonna, hit somebody, and they're gonna go lights out. No need for no finishing instinct. You know what I'm saying? We don't need all of that. Because he's just kind of finishing you straight. Pause. So yeah, it's been a little minute since Semmelsberger got a KO. Been a hot minute since Semmelsberger got a KO. So, he's winning decisions versus guys like AJ Fletcher, Jake Matthews, because he's hurting them. Even the Jeremiah Wells fight, that was a crazy ass fight. Both guys dropping each other, just a back and forth fight that Semmelsberger was on the wrong side of. I think Jeremiah Wells did a really good job winning that third round, getting the fight back to where he wants the fight to be, which is on the ground, controlling Matt. So Matt is going to hurt Parsons. I can almost assure you that. Semmelsberger is going to hurt Parsons. It's a matter of, does Parsons go out? Can Matt finish him right then and there? If Matt hurts him and does not finish him, I'm going to be very, very worried. So, like I said, I think Matt deserves a unit of my money. I really do. I think Matt deserves a unit, so I'm probably going to get there. I just wanted to talk about that fight because I'm probably going to get there. What do we got? Semmelsberger should win, but I can't come to bet him every time I bet this clown he loses. Yeah, not the best IQ, not the best, finishing instinct, which can be tough. I'm done betting on dummies in 2024. Yeah, listen, we gotta make adjustments 2024. No more dummies. No more dummies. All right, so I got two more fights I want to talk about. This next one is going to be really, really quick. Andre Arlovsky, the legend, is fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta. So this is the other leg of the two-leg parlay. I'm parlaying Waldo Cortez Acosta with Farid Basharat. That lay is right around minus 180. Again, some people don't like that. If you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. Don't DM me about it. Add another leg or do what you want to do. That's the lay I really like. 2024, trying to pick my spots and hammer the fuck out of those spots. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Arlovsky, absolute legend of the game, absolute gangster, right? When you talk about gangster of the game, Arlovsky's definitely in that conversation. True gangster, just legend of the game. Some amazing performances throughout his UFC career. But the guy's 45 now, and throughout his last couple of fights, last couple of years, we just see it. He's done. We all know that there comes a time where you're just kind of done. His chin is going, the speed is not there, the movement is not there anymore. He's not even really throwing shit anymore. He's very, very extremely low volume. Probably because he knows, he wants to protect the chin. He's not as fast as he once was. I think he's just done. I really do. And I saw Waldo being such a massive favorite, and I was like, I'm just gonna stay away from this fight. Hopefully watch it, maybe root for Andre, but no action. But I can't pass. Waldo, I can't pass up. Waldo, former athlete. Used to be a baseball player. He's going to be so much faster, so much more athletic than Andre Arlovsky, so much more power, so much more finishing equity, in my opinion. I think he starches Arlovsky, which reminds me, I want to give you guys the other things I played too. So I also played uh Waldo round one, round two win at -130, and I played Waldo by sub at plus 1400, which a little sprinkle, a little spicy sprinkle, you know what I'm saying? And I'll get to that, but yeah, I think he finishes Andre. I think it happens relatively early. I'd be surprised if this fight sees round two, but Waldo's not a guy that's gonna, as soon as the bell rings, he's gonna charge at you and look to finish the fight right away. He's not that type of heavyweight. He is plotting. He's patient in the first round. He wants to make his reads. He's very patient, and I think that patience leads to us maybe more than likely seeing a round two, maybe, or at least late into round one. But that's why I like the round one / round two kind of protection bet. I'll pay the -130, so I don't look like a fool when this fight goes to round two. So, like I said, Andre doesn't really throw a lot too. He's very kind of defensive now too, which can lead to more stalemates, right? Time ticking off the clock. So, um, yeah, Waldo's just unfortunately better everywhere. He's younger, faster, stronger, more athletic. It just, that's just what it is. It's as simple as that. I played Acosta by sub too because I think that's a sneaky angle too. When you're so much faster and so much more athletic than somebody, the takedowns are gonna be there. If Acosta wants to prove something and show, listen, I've been working, I could wrestle too. If he wants to, which a lot of fighters do, I could definitely see him try to take down Arlovsky, especially in a small cage. Push him up against the cage, change levels, get him on his butt. Um, if Arlovsky is sitting on his back, I hate that for Arlovsky. Arlovsky seems like he's at that point in his career, like he's gonna quick tap too. We saw that in the Delima fight. That was a pretty quick tap. He just seems like, I'm too old to be fucking letting you choke me out or break something. I'm just gonna tap. You got me. I'm just gonna tap. So I think a quick tap is very live too. So again, if Waldo gets Andre on his back and he's so much stronger, so much more athletic, the cardio of Waldo is very, very impressive too, especially for a heavyweight. So you got all those advantages and you got somebody on their back. Why can't he lock up a triangle choke or like a sneaky Kimura or something like that, So at plus 1400, I'll take that. 14-1, I'll take that. I might sprinkle a little bit more. I really like, let me just check what it is right now, really quick. I really like Waldo round two, which I think was like plus 800 if I'm not mistaken, but let me look at it. MMA. They couldn't even put my boy Andre on the main card for his retirement fight. That's fucked up, bro. So yeah, and this is gonna be a part of my long shot parlay that I give out later too. Waldo in round two at plus 800. Am I fucking bugging? I probably would have been took it if it was plus 800. So Waldo to win in round two is plus 370. The reason I like that, Waldo KO round two is like plus 400. So it's only a 30-cent difference. And like I said, I think the sub is very, very live. Maybe even a club and sub too. I think I didn't mention that when talking about the sub. I think the club and sub is very, very live too. With a guy that maybe wants to prove that he has grappling. So yeah, just the patience of Waldo in round one. Andre being very defensive in round one. I think we can see a round two. So I might sprinkle on that. Acosta to win in round two. And then Waldo round two sub is plus 4,400. I'm gonna play that. I believe I looked at those odds last night and they were worse. Now I see 44-1. I'm gonna play that. I'm gonna sprinkle maybe like 0.15, 0.2 units on that. I really, really like that. I just have this weird feeling that this fight ends in round two, and Waldo is, where's Waldo? Where's why he's standing over you? as you're unconscious. That's where he is. So I don't know. I just have a funny feeling this fight ends in round 2. But yeah, I think Waldo retires Andre. I think he finishes him, unfortunately. But major salute, and I wanted to give those flowers to Arlovsky that he deserves. Absolute legend of the game. But yeah, Waldo moneyline parlay with Fareed. Waldo round 1, round 2 win. Waldo by sub. Waldo by sub round 2. And just to win in round 2, plus 370. I really like that. So just a couple of sprinkles. Okay. Last fight I want to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than Phil fucking Hawes. Phil Hawes is fighting Bruno Ferreira. Phil Hawes sitting around plus 110 right now. Bruno sitting at minus 130. So, as much as I hate to do it, give me Phil Hawes. I like Phil Hawes money line. I got it at plus 115, plus 110. Don't mind it at all. I like Phil as a dog. I also played Phil Hawes round 1, round 2 sub at plus 1200. So Phil Hawes is better everywhere than Bruno is. Bruno, this is his 3rd UFC fight, coming off getting knocked out in the first round. Phil Hawes also coming off getting knocked out in the first round, back-to-back first-round knockouts. The difference for me with that is, look at who Phil is fighting. I know Phil's chin is a major liability. I understand that. But look at who Phil is fighting. Ikram Alaskarov, one of the most dangerous prospects in the division that nobody knows his name. Roman Dolidze, monster, top 10 guy, ranked guy in the division. Deron Wynn is not in the UFC anymore. He beat him. Chris Curtis, he was fucking Chris Curtis up. Hold on. Hey, stop it. Stop. He was fucking Chris Curtis up until he wasn't. That fight ended 4 minutes, 30 seconds in round 1. For every second of those 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Phil Hawes was fucking Chris Curtis up until he wasn't. That chin, and we've seen that multiple times. In the Ikram Alaskarov fight, that fight only lasted 2 minutes. But Phil Hawes had his moments in that fight. Phil Hawes was hitting Ikram Alaskarov. We've just seen it time and time again, and he still beat some really good competition, right? Jacob Malkoun, I don't think is elite, but Jacob Malkoun is not a bum, and he beat him. Nasruddin Imavov, a really, really good guy in the division, beat him, So some good wins, some really tough losses against good competition. And then you got Bruno fighting really nobody. Ruzaboev, I think is decent. I don't think he's a bum either. I think he's decent, but he fought RoboCop, who again is decent, but a little bit past his prime, I think. So yeah, I like Phil's strength of competition. I think he's faced and beaten the better level of competition. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Phil is better everywhere. Phil is a better boxer, better striker, way better offensive wrestler, way better grappler. Bruno doesn't want to do that. Bruno wants to strike. He wants to knock your face off. And that's the problem in this fight for Phil, is that Bruno has devastating power. Bruno has bricks in his hands. But still, Bruno, when he's striking, Bruno looks very uncomfortable when he's striking, very kind of clunky with his striking, nothing extremely technical. Phil is faster, more athletic, more powerful, better striker, more technical, better wrestler, better like everywhere. If Phil had a chin, Phil might be minus 400 in a spot, which is crazy. But because he doesn't have a chin, he's plus money. That's crazy. I can't ignore the plus money with a guy that is better everywhere. Phil actually is training in Philly now. He's training with, Kyle Dawkins. I think he's putting some time in with, Joe Pyfer and those boys, Sean Brady in that camp, which is a great camp. So, hopefully those guys, Sean Brady's really good at doing this, right? And I heard, shout out to my boy, might have been Liam. It might have been my boy Liam who said this. So shout out to him. I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but one thing that Sean Brady's really good at is hiding his chin. Sean Brady doesn't have like a bad chin, but Sean Brady's really good at defensively kind of hiding his chin. And hopefully Phil can learn some of that shit, but I don't want to say I'm hoping Phil does it, but how can Phil not come out and wrestle fuck Bruno? How can that not be the game plan? Phil is smart. Phil has a brain. Phil's training with really good guys. Phil's 35 years old. He might be fighting for his job. You know what I'm saying? He might be literally fighting for his job. So, he's going to come out. He's going to wrestle. And if he comes out and wrestles, he's going to dominate this fight. He might finish the fight on the mat, which is why I took Hawes by submission. I think it's going to be a heavy wrestling game plan. When there's a heavy wrestling game plan, the path to a sub is right there. Bruno, I do not trust Bruno off his back. I do not trust Bruno's defensive grappling at all. So at plus 1,200 to cash me out in round 1 or round 2 sub, I think Phil can take him down and finish him in round 1. I really do. I truly do. TG said, I do think if it goes past round 1, Phil is a great live bet. Yeah. Maybe the first round is sketchy, Maybe Phil does the chicken, a little mini chicken dance. And you look after round 1 and Phil is like plus 400, plus 500. I'll take him because it's going to be the same game plan. I'm going to try to wrestle, take him down. Phil can undoubtedly take Bruno down and finish him in round 1. No question about that. Phil can also finish him on a feet. Phil can knock Bruno out. So that's way too many ways for Phil to win and win dominantly. I saw a lot of smart people taking Phil by decision too at plus 1,000. The only reason I didn't bet it is because I'm not getting the best of the number anymore. It was all the way down to like plus 800. So I still think that's a good bet because, again, if Phil decides to wrestle and do it consistently, yeah, he can burn minutes off this clock and get us to a dominant decision for sure. So I think he has that path to victory. He can knock him out. He can sub him on the ground. He can dominate him on the ground. So, yes, we just have to hope that this man does not get chinned, bro. That's really it. Every single strike that Bruno throws, my butthole going to be clenched. Every single one. But, if Bruno was technical, right, if Bruno had that technicality in the striking along with the power, I probably wouldn't be betting Phil Hawes. But he doesn't. He's super sloppy on the feet, which will leave openings for Phil to knock you the fuck out too. So that's just way too many paths, in my opinion. It's really as simple as that. So, yeah, that's that. That is that. Dun, 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 dun. So I wanted to save this for last. I have a massive that I put it on the tweet too. A massive plus 7,000 long shot parlay that I want to give to you guys too. You guys actually getting this before the core is, so you guys should, the core will get it, but you guys should feel a little special. You guys should feel a little special. So here we go. I did not send a slip to my man James, so I apologize. We can't get it up on the screen, but I'll go through it a couple of times. So we talked about every single one of these fights. So here it is, 5 legs, plus 77.54 on FanDuel. Joshua Van by KO. Fareed Basharat by points. So by decision. Phil Hawes, money line. Waldo Cortez Acosta to win in round 2. Again, I told you I got this funny feeling in my plums that he wins in round 2. And Matthew Semmelsberger, Preston Parsons fight will not go to decision. Those 5 legs are plus 77.54 on FanDuel. Palace says the delusion is real. Please tell me, my brother, if you want to debate something, please tell me. I don't think I'm delusional or anything I said, but if you feel otherwise, be more specific, my brother, and I will gladly tell you where my mind is at. Before you go, do you have an opinion on the main? I really like Walker plus 450. Yeah, I'll discuss that a little bit. So one more time. Josh Van by KO. Fareed Basharat by decision. Phil Hawes, money line. Waldo Cortez Acosta to win in round two, just to win in round two, not a method. And Semmelsberger Parsons fight not to go to decision. 5 legs plus 77.54. 25 gets you almost $2,000. Pretty good. So I really like that. I really like that lay. I'm on Van, I'm on Farid, I'm on Hawes, I'm on Acosta, and a little bit of a safer play in the Semmelsberger fight. Just fight not to go to distance. Like I mentioned, both guys have clear paths to finish on one another. So a little plus 78 to 1 to open the year. I don't mind that at all. Um, so yeah, obviously the main event, we get in the rematch. Off of that did they was it a no contest? Off of that no contest or whatever the fuck it was. Let me see. Yeah, no contest. Johnny Walker rematching um Magomed Ankalaev, which I think is a pretty good fight. I like the fight the first go round, but um, you know, I agree with my man TG. I do think the line is wide. The line is wider than it was the first time, which I think is telling. Again, we only saw what 3 minutes of that fight. You know, and it pretty much lived up to what I thought. Johnny being more Johnny Walker's been a lot more patient as a late. Johnny Walker was being patient, but still throwing in that flashy shit. The jumping knee, pretending that he was hurt by the body shot, and then jumping knee. Um, I think Magomed looked really good for as long as that fight lasted. I think Magomed is a deserving favorite. I think Magomed wins this fight. I think Magomed finishes this fight. Right up until this dumbass threw an illegal knee to the head. Um, I liked where he was at. Kind of had him down, took his back, was throwing punches. That's a really bad spot for Johnny Walker to have Magomed Ankalaev on your back raining down punches. So who knows? Who knows where that fight would have went. Ankalaev might have finished him around one. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, I do think Ankalaev wins this fight. Um, I do. But that's the reason I'm not betting it, because the line is way too fucking wide. So those are my thoughts. Nothing too major. Before you go, oh yeah. You have to go through this again. I'm slow. I'm assuming you're talking about the the parlay. Um, so real quick, the long shot parlay: Joshua Van by KO, Farid Basharat by decision. It's listed by points on FanDuel. Phil Hawes money line. Waldo Cortez Acosta to win in round two. Not any method, just to win in round two. And Matthew Semmelsberger, Parsons fight not to go the distance. 5 legs plus 77.54. I would bet Walker at plus 250. The fact that it's plus 450, yeah, I agree. My man Pawathon is in the chat. Volk versus Manel, who wins? Yeah, I'm not gonna disrespect Volk and say Manel wins that fight. I think Manel is still somewhat unproven. Volk is the exact opposite of that. So right now, I'm not taking Manel over Volk. I know everybody, he just got knocked out, boom, boom, but I can't do that. Magomed is a dummy. He didn't wrestle Yana until his leg was completely compromised. I see, yeah, but I think he learned from that. I really do. Having that fight end in a draw where he probably should have no doubt about it won that fight and been champion of the fucking world, and he gets robbed of that, is, if that don't teach you, nothing will. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he learned. I do think we see a more wrestling heavy game plan, but I think he can knock Johnny Walker out too. We've seen Johnny Walker absolutely get mean KO'd in the past. So yeah. So that's gonna do it, guys. We've been live about an hour, which I'm impressed with. I don't know about you. I talk way too much to keep things to an hour. So I'm impressed by it. I'm sure James loves that, only an hour. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up there. So I'll do a quick recap just for those of you that popped in. So I'm on Joshua Van money line minus 225. Again, that is a stale line. It is not that anymore. I would not play Josh Van as a straight at the current price at minus 250, minus 260. I will parlay him. But I'm on Josh Van money line. I'm on Gene Silva, Weston Wilson over a half a round. That's an alt line on DK at minus 220. I also like that fight to start round 2 at plus 198. Fareed Basharat money line paired with Waldo Cortez Acosta money line minus 180. Cortez Acosta round 1, round 2 win minus 130. Cortez Acosta by sub plus 1400. Phil Hall's money line plus 115. Phil Hall's round 1, round 2 sub at plus 1200. I'm also taking was it Phil Hall's? Please hold. Was it Phil Hall's round 2 sub? No, it was Acosta. I'm taking Waldo Acosta round 2 sub at plus 4400. And that's it, guys. I'm trying to keep the betting card short, simple, sweet. Like I said, I'm trying to turn it around. Not a good last couple of events of 2023 for me. So I'm trying to pick my spots selectively. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode 11 already. We've been doing this for a couple of months. Episode 11 of Subs and Dubs. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys, whatever you decide to play, I hope you guys make a shit ton of money tonight. If you guys tell my plays, I appreciate the support. I think me personally, I think I'm gonna make a shit ton of money tonight. Hopefully that big parlay cashes. So yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. We got a bunch of very, very important, very massive events coming up in UFC. So we're gonna be here for all of them. I'm working on getting some really, really special guests for you guys. So if you guys haven't already, please hit that like button. If you guys want more, hit that like button. It allows me to do more of these for you guys. If you guys have any guest ideas, any ideas for guests, any guys that you like their work, you like watching them, comment them down below. And I'll definitely, if I know them or if they're accessible on Twitter, I'll definitely reach out and tell them that you sent them. You sent me to go get them and try to get them on the show. So will there be a link on your Twitter for what? For the show? Yeah. If it's for the show, if that's what you're talking about, yes. I always kind of tweet out beforehand. For those of you that don't know, my Twitter is at FinesseTheBooks, at FinesseTheBooks. If you guys don't follow me on there. TG said Narcocop, MMA, or Liam picks fights. Yeah, Liam has actually been on this show before. Liam is my guy. I've been on his show before. We've been rocking for a little while now. I really respect his game. One of the hardest workers in the game. So shout out to him. But yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for being active in the chat. Thank you, James. My man James just put the Twitter link in the chat. So hit that Twitter link. Follow me if you don't already. James, I appreciate you. Would not be possible without the production in the background. Appreciate all you guys watching. Hit that like button. Please hit that like button. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Let's make a lot of money tonight. Good luck on your action. And I'll see you when I see you. Love you guys. Peace.